Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ringside Report MMA. Tonight on the show, it's the UFC 281 preview. Adesanya and Pereira. Let's do it.
Let's go!
Yeah. Freddie and AJ? Give me Freddie and AJ. What's up, Freddie and AJ? What's up, Freddie?
What's up, man?
You know, doing it.
What's shaking, bacon?
Doing the things. Getting ready for the weekend. AJ, you ready for the weekend?
I sure am, man. This is going to be an insane weekend. 281, man. We've been waiting for it for a long time. And it's only getting better, man. The conference was good. I mean, it's going to be crazy, man. Madison Square Garden. Like, this is a must-watch, man. Like, if you want to see, like, UFC at its best, man, this card has everything, man. Everything you can ask for.
This is big. I mean, this is so big we're talking about the main event before the show even started. Usually we talk about whatever AJ is saying. AJ tells me a story from the old days or whatever, you know. But before the show tonight, we were just talking about the fights. We were just talking about whether Alex Pereira is going to be able to beat Israel Adesanya, and that's been a question on our minds for a long time. Alex Pereira is the guy from Israel Adesanya's past. He defeated him twice in kickboxing, first time by decision, second time by knockout, knocked him out cold, and that was back in 2017. Just 5 years ago, Pereira, 35 years old, now 6-1 in MMA. He lost his debut back in 2015, but since then has gone undefeated, knocking out most of his opponents except for one, Bruno Silva, who's one of the toughest guys in the UFC. Pereira's now 3-0 in the UFC and already getting a title shot. You know why he's getting a title shot, because this is a story. Pereira is a monster. He knocked out Sean Strickland, who's one of the top contenders in the division, knocked him out in under 3 minutes in his last fight back in July. And now he's coming in here against Israel Adesanya, the guy he's defeated twice before. Just 3 fights in the UFC, but he's got that kickboxing experience, and he has some serious power. And people are wondering, can he do to Israel Adesanya in the octagon what he did to him in the kickboxing ring? And the odds are pretty tight. Bet99.com odds right now have Israel Adesanya minus 217 the favorite, Alex Pereira plus 171 the underdog. It's pretty tight. But Adesanya is the favorite, and I think that makes sense. Adesanya is the longtime champion. Adesanya is looked at as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, middleweight of all time at this point. Although I would make a pretty solid argument for Anderson Silva. Still, Israel Adesanya is a monster, and he knows how to win fights. I've been going back and forth on this fight all week, all month, all whatever, since it's been announced.
It's tough,
I've been going back and forth. I think, Adesanya, he can outpoint Alex Pereira. He can move around him. He can do what he does. He can turn it into a boring fight and win.
How does he do that, though? Because he lost twice in kickboxing. I've read people say, like, Adesanya can win a boring fight, but does he have the wrestling maybe to bring Pereira down and do that? Because if it stays standing up, I don't think it's going to be a boring fight. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I think it might be very dangerous for Israel Adesanya. I think, obviously, you got to see it as dangerous for Adesanya, even though it looked like he was in charge of their last kickboxing match. At the end of the fight, he was looking up at the lights. So can he avoid that power? Can he win on points? I don't know. I really don't know. I think Pereira has the power. I mean, we know. It's not that I think. I know Pereira has the power to put Israel Adesanya's lights out. That's a proven fact. He did it before. And now he's got 25 minutes to try and do it again. Does Israel Adesanya have the answer? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Pereira could easily knock him out in this fight.
We were talking before the show started, and I was like, you know what? If you look at the 2 fights that happened between Israel and Pereira, like the first fight, if you watch it, I mean, Israel was pretty much looked like he was in the game. It was a controversial loss. Some people were saying Israel won it. The second fight, Israel was doing pretty good till the second round. Then he got knocked out. And then I'm like, let's take a look at this guy's record. And I went through Pereira's record. So I'm coming to this conclusion. If you look at his professional boxing record, which he has, he only had one fight, but he won it by knockout. If you look at his kickboxing record, he's had 40 fights, 33 wins, 21 by knockout. He's lost 7, but he's been knocked out twice. But then he steps into the octagon. He has 7 fights, 6 wins, 5 knockouts, 1 by decision. And he had, what does he have? 1 by decision. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that he's been knocked out before. Can he be knocked out? Yes, he has. But that was in the kickboxing circuit.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very different. There's not going to be much clinching, which is probably going to happen on Saturday night. I think it's going to be like a clinch fest. Knees are going to be flying like no tomorrow. And that's where Pereira is dangerous. If he's able to get that flying knee. I mean, Israel kind of knows what to expect. But these guys have fought like 6 years ago, their first fight, 5 years ago, their second fight. They're both different fighters. And you know what? It was so hard for me to say which one. I was leaning on Israel. Then I looked at the press conference, and I'm like, man, I just don't know at this point. And we were saying it, me and Dave, Freddie, you didn't hear us, but I was saying Pereira looks like a guy that's already got into Israel's head. He knows he can knock him out. It's like a guy who doesn't even care about the belt. He just wants to be there. He wants the money. You can see like that prehistoric animal in Pereira. He looks like he's ready to kill. Israel looked like he has a lot of pressure on him. Israel, a few times was looking confident, but it's easier said than done when they're in the octagon, but there was something about Israel where he has so much pressure on him because he's got this above his head. 2 losses. He's got above his head that knockout. And I'm telling you, I think it got into his head. I was leaning towards Israel till the press conference, and then I saw Pereira, and this fucking guy looks like a caged animal ready to kill. And he's got the skills to back it up. All to say is, from professional boxing to kickboxing to mixed martial arts, this guy, if you have to say what type of manner of win he's going to be able to get out on Saturday night, it's going to be a knockout. But there was something else that he said that kind of intrigued me. He said exactly, a lot of people underestimate my ground skills, and that's the thing.
Try that again. Try it again.
Underestimate. Yeah, sorry, man. I'm getting so excited. But what I'm trying to say is, I was looking at Pereira's years, man, and Pereira's got like some knocks on his years. This guy has been grappling for a long time, and what people don't realize, he's Brazilian. He's been grappling.
I think people realize he's Brazilian.
I understand, Dave, but everybody's focusing on the Muay Thai aspect. That whole kickboxing aspect, which is a big game in Brazil. The thing is that his jiu-jitsu skills, man. Training with Glover and whatever is jiu-jitsu for MMA. Now, this is a different game altogether. This is what I'm trying to say is that if it gets to the ground, I think we might be surprised by Pereira's skills. I just think that, I'm having a hard time pulling away from Israel, man, because Israel is the best fighter that ever existed, in my opinion. But I just think that there's too much over his head on Saturday night. I think the KO is going to happen. I think Pereira is going to actually knock this guy out.
Well, greatest fighter that ever existed.
Well, when you look at his record, man, come on, let's give him some credit, man. This guy is amazing. He's one of the best, man.
I'm a huge
He's up
Israel
there, man.
fan. I'm the guy that picked him back in the days against Jan. Unfortunately, he was a little small for Jan. And that's the thing that I think Pereira has maybe. He's so big also for the division. Pereira's a huge middleweight. So I don't think Israel's going to want to wrestle with him because, first of all, Israel doesn't really have the wrestling skill. And Pereira's not a grappler, but I'm sure he can learn enough, to take somebody of the level of a grappling of Israel. So I expect this fight to be staying standing up because Pereira, he's not the one that's going to bring it to the ground either. So I really expect this fight to be a stand up. And it comes how much do they engage? I think this is the cage. They won't have a choice at some point to engage. And Pereira, in the striking department, he's very good. He's gonna know how to corner his opponent, and also he's gonna hit the bigger shots. And I'm picking Pereira. Look, if Israel wins, I'm not gonna be surprised. I agree. He's one of the best fighters ever. He's second best middleweight in the history. If he wins tomorrow, that's another argument for him maybe being the best middleweight. But there's something about Pereira, his demeanor also. He looks so confident. He looks like a guy that's there for a job, and he's going to do it. So I got Pereira, and I'm going to go with a knockout. Round 3, maybe. 2 or 3. Something not too early enough.
Keep in mind, man, they're both 6'4". Like when you think about it, Pereira's a big guy, but so is Israel. They're both standing at 6'4".
Pereira's much thicker. Look when Israel went to light heavyweight. He looked small. He weighed in, I think, at like 199 or 197 when he fought Jan. Pereira, you look at him like trained with guys like Dominic Reyes and all that. He looks much bigger than Dominic Reyes, who fights at 205. So I don't know. I think Pereira's much thicker, especially on fight night. They might be the same height, but he's a much thicker, stronger guy in my mind.
You know, I think you're right that he is thicker, and I think he is a bigger man than Israel Adesanya, even though they're the same height. But I think that's going to play against him. I think that the weight cut is going to be a lot harder for Pereira. And don't be surprised if he has to weigh in a second time tomorrow to try to make 185. It's not going to be easy for him to make 185. I think it's difficult for him to make championship weight. And if you look at his fight against Bruno Silva, Pereira against Silva, Pereira got tired of beating up Bruno Silva. By the third round, he kind of lost a step. And we're talking about mixed martial arts. 3 rounds of 5 minutes apiece. In professional kickboxing, championship fights, we are talking about 5 rounds of 3 minutes apiece. That is a completely different ballgame and a completely different style of cardio for your stand-up and your stand-up game and what you're trying to do. In 3 minutes, you got to go, go, go. In 5 minutes, you got a little bit more time to work and set things up. Now, Pereira seemed to tire in the Bruno Silva fight. That was only a 15-minute fight. We are talking about a 25-minute fight that Israel Adesanya has done time and time again in the UFC, and Pereira has never, ever done before. He's never been in a 25-minute championship fight. He's never done that in his entire mixed martial arts career. And Adesanya has a ton of experience in pacing it out, in finding his moments, in winning the rounds, and remaining champion. And I think that might be the difference here. I think that Israel Adesanya's fight IQ, his octagon experience, the fact that he is 2 years younger than Pereira, I think plays in his favor as well. Pereira at 35, Israel at 33. I think Israel might be the fresher fighter. I think by rounds 4 and 5, Israel Adesanya is going to be able to put a pace on Pereira that Pereira won't be able to keep up with.
I don't know,
but
Dave.
Pereira could also knock him out cold in the second round. I mean, hey, things could happen. I could see Israel Adesanya knocking Pereira out too, by the way. That's a strong possibility. We're talking about Israel Adesanya. He can knock out any man on any given day. You know, I mean, we can't forget about that. Fights could happen a million different ways, and one of the ways is Israel Adesanya knocking Pereira out in the first round. I mean, it's possible.
Sure. It's a different game, man. It's not kickboxing. But just to let you know, in kickboxing, he's already gone 5 rounds with Israel. I mean, it was 3-minute rounds, but he's got
that's a 15-minute fight.
It's a 50-minute fight. Yeah, you're right. But he's gotten that 5 rounds in kickboxing. Again, you know, all you got to worry about is kickboxing.
That might have been 3 minutes. You don't know. That might have been 3 rounds.
No, there were 5 rounds. The kickboxing, the first fight was 5 rounds of 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, in the second fight, he got a left hook. I think it was in the second round. Mm-hmm. All to say is this. I mean, he's gone the distance in the kickboxing
Sorry, you're wrong about
circuit.
that. Sorry, AJ, you're wrong about that.
In the first fight, no.
Yeah,
it was
no.
5
The
rounds.
first fight, I'm looking at it right now. 3 rounds of 3 minutes. It happened in China in 2016. It was 3 rounds of 3 minutes.
You sure about that?
Me?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I'm looking at
It's 5
Wikipedia,
rounds.
so who knows how much
Yeah, it's 5 rounds.
Wikipedia is official.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that.
Wikipedia says it's 5 rounds.
Yeah, I remember seeing the fight, Dave. It was going 5 rounds, man.
What?
With that decision in the first fight.
Fred, I'm looking at Wikipedia too.
Yeah, the first fight in 2016.
Yeah.
Glory Heroes,
it was,
China.
5 rounds.
5 rounds.
I have 3 rounds.
Decision.
Why does mine say 3 rounds? How are we looking at the same thing?
You sure you got Wikipedia or you got Wikipedia? Listen, I'm going to tell you something, Dave. All to say is this. It's a different game, and you know what? It's not kickboxing. So, you know, I'm still, like, divided on who I think is going to win this. It's so hard. This is one of the hardest fights I have to pick. You know, I'm going to wait till we go to our betting, Bet 99.
Hang on.
Because
hang on. On Adesanya's Wikipedia page, it says it's 3 rounds. On Pereira's Wikipedia page, it says the fight was 5 rounds.
No, you're looking at the second fight. I'm on the Wikipedia of Pereira.
Yeah, I saw the fight, Dave. I saw it going to 5 rounds, man.
All right. I believe you. If it's 2 against 1,
but
I'm not sure.
It was 5
Either
rounds,
way,
man.
It's a shorter fight than what we're going to have on Saturday, is my point,
100%.
and the rounds are short.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And if they actually get to the ground, it'll be kind of interesting to see because you got Israel Adesanya as a purple belt, you know, and you've got Pereira fighting. Who's he with? Let me just double check that.
Pereira trains with Glover Teixeira, doesn't he?
Yeah, with Glover. Yeah, Pereira's with Glover Teixeira, and Israel is with Andre Galvao as a purple belt. And Andre Galvao is no joke, man. We seen him fight not too long ago, and he's one of the best grapplers in the world. I mean, you know what? It'd be crazy if it's not a stand-up fight and it actually ends up being on the ground. It'll be quite interesting. But, man, it's still a hard
Very hard
fight
to pick, and I'm not putting it on my parlay. I'm putting that out there right now. This fight is not on my parlay because I can't really. I'm not going to bet this fight. This is not a fight that I would bet on whatsoever because I think it could go either way. But if officially, I'm picking Israel Adesanya. I just think he's the MMA fighter. He's more experienced. This is the fight he has to win. Pereira, I think it might be very boring. It might be one of those boring Adesanya fights, like the Yoel Romero fight, like the last fight he had there against
Pereira's
what's his
a much
name
better striker than
against
Romero.
Cannonier, you know.
Pereira's a better striker than those guys. I don't think he'll be able to dull his way through 5 rounds like that.
I hope not.
But if you look at the overall like stats, you got to look at Israel, man. Just his professional like combat record is insane. This guy has so much experience, man. Even though he got knocked out by Pereira, if you look at his professional boxing record, he's got 6 fights, 5 wins, 1 by knockout. You know, kickboxing record, he has over 80 fights. He's won 75 out of 80 fights. The guy's knocked out 29 fighters. He comes into the mixed martial arts world. He's got 24 fights, 23 wins, 15 by knockout. And that's the thing with Israel. He has such an extensive combat record. It's ridiculous. But the amount of experience he has should be able to beat Pereira. You know what I mean? He got that loss. They fought twice. And I'm thinking, you know what, Dave? I'm going to lean on Israel. I think Israel's experience and coming into the mixed martial art like circuit has enough like experience to be able to shake off that second fight, which was a kind of a shitty loss because he was actually winning in those rounds before he got knocked out. I'm going to lean towards Israel. That's it, man. I'm going with what I wanted to do originally. I'm going with Israel for the win, and it's going to be a crazy fight.
Tough one to call. I'm going with Israel by knockout. I think he's going to finish him in the later rounds. Fred, you're going with Pereira by knockout?
Yep.
Dino Steaks says it's a tough call. Dino Steaks has taken Israel Adesanya. Shout out to Dino. Shout out to Angelo Contagonis, member of the team. Join.ringsidereport.net. If you are not a member already, join.ringsidereport.net or donate.ringsidereport.net. Shout out to Silent by Deadly watching us. Thank you, Silent. Member of the team as well, Angelo. And there's Patrick C. Hamilton who says, I think I'm going with Pereira. Patrick's been a member for 24 months. That's 2 years. All right, Patrick, 2 years. Thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network for 2 straight years. As a member, brother. He's going with Pereira, going with Freddie.
Listen, man, it's very possible, man. Anything could happen. But if you look at the overall stats, man, like it's leaning more towards Israel to be able to handle this guy. You know, if it was kickboxing, I might look at it another way. But we're coming into the mixed martial arts scene. You know, it's going to be a different way to look. Pereira's never faced Israel in the octagon. You know, and Israel's faced many guys like Pereira in the octagon. You know, regardless of how much better his striking skills are, it's not like he hasn't been able to see that extent of it. He saw it in kickboxing. And he actually, like I said, in their first fight, it was a controversial call. Some people thought Israel won it. So the second fight, Israel was winning it, and then boom. We saw that with Usman. Anything can happen. We saw that with George St. Pierre. Any shit can happen. Everybody can have a great fight and just a bad 30 seconds, you know, and it's done. I think it's going to be a different story. All stats point to Israel for this win. It's going to be a tough fight. But I think Israel knows what he needs to do to beat this guy. And that means even getting down to the ground and controlling him. If you're training with Galvao, man, there's going to be a lot of pressure, man. You know, that's a pressure grappler, man. He's going to be able to handle Pereira.
We are going to be doing a watch-along Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time when the pay-per-view starts. And we'll find out. Was Fred right? Was AJ right? And me? I'm with AJ, man. Fred. I'm on AJ's side with this for some reason.
AJ?
It's never safe. Never safe.
Twin Towers. I like that.
I feel...
I'll tell you.
See, I was on the fence. I was on the fence about the fight, and I kind of thought, Israel, I think, is, you know... But now AJ's picking Israel, and Fred's picking Pereira, and I'm starting to lean back towards Pereira.
You know who I'm not picking?
Who? Carla Esparza?
Carla Esparza.
Me neither.
Yeah, me neither, man.
Crushed.
Yeah, I think she's going to lose. I think
Zach
she loses
Whaley
here.
looked great last fight, man. She looked very good last fight.
Yeah.
Man, the conference looked good, man. She had the best legs in the game, I'll tell you that much. But she's not going to – those legs are going to, like, buckle under her on Saturday. Whaley looks mean. She looks tough. And if you ever saw her video of her training in Thailand, I don't know if you got a chance to see her working the pads in Thailand. Holy smokes, man. You see this girl working the pads, and you say to yourself, holy fuck. This girl is dangerous. She's just like psycho dangerous. I'm telling you, that was enough for me to convince myself Whaley's going to smash Esparza. It's done. But I'm going to give Esparza the best legs in the game, if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't really know what you're talking about, but that's not unusual.
I
very rarely know what you're talking about, and I think that's for the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just think that Esparza is not going to be able to do
man.
The whole wrestling game. What? I didn't see.
I saw something.
Okay. I don't think that Esparza is going to be able to take Whaley down.
Come on,
and that's really her game. You know, her whole game is the takedown, and I don't think she's going to be able to do it. Maybe at all. I think Whaley's going to stuff pretty much all of her takedowns, and this might be a quick night. I could see Carla getting stopped here.
Look how strong Whaley is, man. Overall, man. Like, let's be honest. Like, you know, Esparza is
great. I picked
great,
Carla to beat Rose, but I thought that, you know, styles make fights, and Whaley right now is just a bad style matchup for Carla Esparza.
And it's going to be crazy because Whaley's going to go in there and put on a show, man. It's going to be a scary night, man.
I think so.
For Esparza anyways.
Whaley minus 375, the favorite. Carla Esparza plus 280, the underdog. Whaley, a former champion, looking to regain the championship. And then probably fight Rose Namajunas, right? I mean, it's just kind of a circle that goes round and round until somebody retires. You know, Joanna was in that circle, but she just lost to Whaley, and then she retired. Rose, I don't know. Maybe Rose is retired too. I don't know what happened with Rose, but you figure she'll probably fight Whaley because she's got 2 wins over Whaley. Like, Whaley beat Joanna in her last fight, but before that she lost to Rose 2 fights in a row. So does Rose get the next title shot, even though she just lost it to Carla in that weird fight? I mean, I would say yes, no? Aren't you a little surprised that Rose isn't getting the shot here at Carla right now? I mean, the fight was terrible, but it wasn't a convincing win for Carla to become the new champion.
Yeah, but it was terrible, an awful fight.
Yeah, it's hard to put that on a pay-per-view
twice
again.
in a row.
Yeah, you're right. But I don't know. I figure Rose is going to fight Wei Li next if Wei Li wins. And I think Wei Li is going to win, and we're all in agreement there with that. Do we all think that Wei Li finishes Carla Esparza?
Yeah, man.
Probably a knockout.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be interesting. Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler. Right now, crazy, Michael Chandler, plus 175, the underdog. Poirier, minus 220, the favorite. Chandler coming off that amazing win where he kicked Tony Ferguson's face off. And Dustin Poirier coming off a loss to the champion Charles Oliveira back in December of last year. Before that, he had the Conor McGregor fights. And, you know, he won them.
Man, this is a tough one, man, because this is going to be a fireworks fight. This is like the people's like main event fight. Everybody wants to see this, man. I want to see it. I'm looking forward to this fight. You know, it's gonna be fight of the night. There's no doubt about it. But there's a lot of respect between these two guys. So like
and some bad blood.
You know, there is, but not that much, really, Dave. I think there's a lot of there's more respect than anything. I mean, you know, even Chandler was talking about like his hot sauce, how good it is, and whatnot. And in fact, like the hot sauce is now official hot sauce of the UFC. So like, kudos to Poirier, man.
It's so expensive, though. I think it's like $15 $15 for a bottle. I know people have been complaining about the price.
Man, if it's good, it's good. I'll buy it. But maybe Poirier could send us some samples, man. It'd be great. But look, there's a lot of respect between these two guys, but they're going to put on a show. There's no doubt about it. When they step in the octagon, they're going at it, man. It's going to be tough, man, for Chandler. I think it's going to be, you know, you're fighting Poirier. You know, just a bigger fighter, more experienced fighter. You know, it's Poirier, man. You know, I think Chandler, it's going to be a hard night for him, man. You know, I'm siding to Poirier for this one.
Huh.
It's a hard one to call, man. I was leaning to Chandler all week, and now I'm looking like at Chandler's record, and I'm like, who has he ever really defeated? You know, like look at, I mean, Tony Ferguson, man. That's not a quality win. Who has he defeated in the UFC? Dan Hooker. That's not really a quality win. Benson Henderson in Bellator. Maybe a quality win. I don't know. So, I don't know, man. That scares me a little bit. But I'm going to stick with my original pick. It's Chandler. But I'm not putting this one. This is the fight I'm not putting on my parlay. I'm going to go with Chandler to win. But I'm not putting this on the parlay.
Like, but what manner of win, man? Because if you look at Dustin Poirier, man.
I think he's stronger than Poirier. I think Poirier might be the more technical striker, but I think Chandler's the more powerful guy.
Yeah, but when you look at guys that Poirier's fought, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, none of them could put him away like on the stand-up game. I don't think Chandler has it to take Dustin Poirier if it stays standing like away. There's no way in hell, man. That's not happening.
Like I say, I've been flip-flopping on this one, but I'm leaning with Chandler. I'm going to stick with my original pick.
This guy Poirier retires after every fight. I'm surprised you guys are kind of on the fence. I'm going with Michael Chandler. Chandler seems like he wants it way more. Poirier seems like he's got 1 foot out of the game. He's got these weird jackets he's wearing. He's selling his hot sauce. It's all about the hot sauce. Poirier's trying to beat Conor McGregor. You know, he's trying to beat Conor McGregor. McGregor had the proper 12, so Poirier's like, let me do hot sauce. You know, he's trying to be that paid guy who's like kind of talking shit, and he's just, I don't know, man. I'm not buying Dustin Poirier right now. I feel like he's halfway in, halfway out. And I think that Michael Chandler is mean, is durable, and I think is stronger than Dustin Poirier. And Poirier might be a better technical boxer, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think Chandler makes it ugly, and Poirier gets himself into trouble. Poirier, man, Poirier
in an ugly fight is still very dangerous. You know,
he
can go
did
into an
not
ugly
look great
fight.
in that Oliveira fight. He did not look very good. And okay, Oliveira is great and all that stuff, fine. But he did not look great there. And then before that, he spent a year fighting Conor McGregor, and it's like, well, what was that exactly? It's hard to gauge who he really is after those fights. And then the fight before that was back in 2020 where he beat Dan Hooker in a 5-round decision. I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, Poirier's had a great career, and you talk about Holloway and Alvarez, and he beat those guys, and that was impressive in 2018 and 2019, but I feel like the past couple years of Dustin Poirier have been a little weird. You know, the McGregor fights put you in this weird MMA space that I'm not sure you come back from. I think McGregor is a curse. I think he's cursed. I think anybody that fights him is cursed afterwards.
Don't say that with the luck of the Irish, Dave.
I'm telling you, he's like reverse luck of the Irish,
Blasphemy.
this guy.
Listen,
I feel like it's...
You're dissing Poirier, man. I can't believe it.
I don't know, man. I like Dustin Poirier. I just, for some reason, I'm not buying it right now. I just feel like he's... Because he keeps retiring. To me, a fighter that says he's going to retire after 2 or 3 fights in a row probably doesn't want to be fighting too much anymore. Right? Doesn't he keep retiring?
Yeah, but
it's
he looked
weird.
good. He looks good, man, leading up to this fight. There's no doubt. So does Chandler.
Chandler looks really good leading up to this fight.
He does.
But actually, man, Chandler is one of those crazy bodies. I saw ESPN share a thing where, like 6 months ago, man, he doesn't look like the same Chandler. He's a little chubbier, man. He cuts a lot of weight, gets like leaned down for his fights. And look, both guys are in great shape, man. Everybody in the UFC is. But I don't know, man. It's going to be a good fight. I've been flip-flopping, but this is going to be a fun fight.
Hot sauce wins, man. Remember that, Dave. Hot sauce wins.
He became the official hot sauce of the UFC. I think the guy's about to retire off hot sauce money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the end, the hot sauce wins, man. It doesn't mean Poirier might win, but the hot sauce does.
If I could sell some spicy shit in a jar or fight Michael Chandler, I'd be selling that spicy shit. You know, I don't want to fight Michael Chandler. Why would you want to do that? Even if you're Dustin Poirier and you have a chance of beating him, the road to beating him is not going to be fun. You know, it's not a fun path. It's fucking painful. All right. Well, we're torn on that one. So what? You guys both going with Poirier?
No, I got Chandler.
Oh, okay. Fred's going with Chandler. Who's the
Poirier,
underdog?
man.
I'm surprised he's such a heavy underdog. It's weird. I thought this fight would be more even. Frankie Edgar or Chris Gutierrez?
Yeah, that's going to be a good one, man.
You want to talk about guys that look retired. Frankie Edgar looks like he's retired. Gutierrez minus 220, the favorite. Edgar plus 175, the underdog. Frankie Edgar is a UFC legend. We all love him. We all respect him. But he's 41 years old. And he's lost 4 of his last 5 fights, including 2 straight by knockout. Pretty nasty knockouts as well. So I just think that Frankie has seen his better days. And this guy, Chris Gutierrez, is a full 10 years younger than him. And he's won a lot of fights in a row, including a win by knockout back in March of this year. So, come on.
Look, it's not a pretty fight for Edgar to be leaving the UFC. Like, there was a lot of talk saying it would have been better to see, like, Dominic Cruz versus Edgar as a retirement fight in a sense. But you're right. This kid is like 10 years younger and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you this. I've been looking at the stare downs, and I'm telling you, Edgar in this stare down is like, I'm taking this win, and I'm going to retire with the win. Edgar looks good, man. Even though he didn't have he's had a rough ride in the last fights, I think Edgar has enough to beat this guy. Whoa. I think he's going to do it, man. I think he's going to pull it off, man. I think Edgar is going to pull the upset.
He's hopeful.
Going in there. I am being hopeful, but I'm just going with the stare down. The stare down enough, for me anyways, was Edgar will do anything it takes to get this W. And he's going to walk out of the UFC with a win. And he's going to be in the Hall of Fame at some point, but he's going to have it with the win. I'm telling you. Everybody thinks that Edgar, he's a major underdog, but he's going to win it. This underdog is winning it on Saturday night.
I'm going with the guy that's 10 years younger and who's on a very good streak also, man. So I got Gutierrez. See, I'm having my AJ moment. I got Chris, man. Chris is going to win.
Chris G. And the opener on the pay-per-view is Claudio Puelles against Dan Hooker.
The Hooker is back.
And Puelles right now is the underdog, plus 125. Hooker minus 155, the favorite. I like Puelles in this fight. That guy's got some good jiu-jitsu. He's slick, man.
Me too.
Yeah, he is. But you don't think Hooker is able to, defend a lot of that?
No.
Come on, let's be honest.
I think he's going to get caught.
Puelles is going to abuse the Hooker.
Yeah.
No.
Hooker's lost 4 of his last 5, man.
Yeah, but look who he's lost to, man.
He's not on a good streak.
He's lost to Allen. He's lost to who?
Islam,
Yeah,
Chandler,
Islam, man. Just so here you go with those names. These are not guys they're the best in the game, man. Rising contender, a champion. You lost to the best of the best. Hooker is no joke.
Why are you disrespecting my man Claudio? Claudio is 12-2. Sorry, 12-2. He's won 5 in a row. He's just 26 years old. His jiu-jitsu is amazing. Why are you disrespecting this guy? Trying to tell me about Hooker being this great fighter. What about Puelles? AJ. Stop being disrespectful, man.
I think standing up, man, Hooker is going to be able to do what he does best. I think this is a winnable fight for Hooker, in my opinion. I'm going the other way, man. I'm going with Hooker on this. And the stare down proved it to me that Hooker...
The stare down's proving everything to you. AJ was telling me he was watching the stare downs just before he did the show. And that's apparently where you're getting all your information from tonight. It's not your feeds. It's not your sources.
There's another stare down tomorrow at the weigh-in. There's another stare down at the weigh-in. Which one is more important?
Not the same. This one tonight, man, is more important.
No.
This one, I'm telling you.
The weigh-in stare down is more important. It's the day before. It's way more important.
Nah, man. It's the first time. I'm telling you. I'm going with Hooker, and I'm not changing my mind on this.
AJ always
the Hooker's
going
gonna
with
win.
The Hooker. Yep, he loves
Leave the money on the table, Dave. That's where it's going.
Okay. And then we got some prelims, too. Brad Riddell taking on Renato Moicano. Dominic Reyes against Ryan Spann.
Who beat... Yeah, we know him. He was technically the champ.
Yeah, he wasn't, though. Molly McCann, the meatball, taking on Aaron Blanchfield.
The meatball, yeah.
McCann on a nice win streak, coming in as a pretty sizable underdog here. But I've been so impressed with what I've seen from Molly McCann. I feel like she's going to pull off an upset. She's fighting the 23-year-old BJJ black belt from New Jersey, who is undefeated so far in the UFC, Aaron Blanchfield. Looking pretty good. But I think Meatball Molly's going to find a way to beat her. I'm going to go with Molly. Molly McCann right now is an underdog, plus 325. So I think definitely worth putting a couple bucks on Molly McCann, just based on the momentum she has on her side right now, right?
I agree with you, Dave, on that. I think that's a good... Yep. Mind you, she's protesting the World Cup soccer that's coming up, so...
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Good old Molly.
I agree with what she's... I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I still watch it, man. Let's be honest.
I don't know.
Man, I've seen what they built for the tourists. They built like this tourist village. It's all like shipping containers that they've placed, and they put 2 beds in each shipping container. People do that these days, though. They'll build a house with a shipping container, metal container, you know?
Yeah.
But, man, it looks so small, man. I wouldn't want to spend too much time in there.
That sounds weird.
Well, think of the heat as well, man. Like, hopefully they're air-conditioned, man.
I don't know.
Hopefully
you're going to be like Dino Steaks, man, grilled.
Well, she's, you should be clear. She's boycotting it because of the way that they treat homosexual people out there and trans people and things like that. Like they imprison them or maybe even kill them. I'm not really sure, but I know it's not very friendly, and that's not cool. you really shouldn't have a big world sporting event in a country that doesn't support homosexual people or criminalizes them. I think that's insane. I think that's just crazy. So I understand Molly being a part of that community to be, boycotting the World Cup. That makes a lot of sense to me. I think the World Cup being in Qatar is completely bogus. And I watched that whole World Cup documentary on Netflix, the FIFA documentary thing. Man,
no, I haven't seen it.
Man, FIFA is so corrupt. FIFA was so corrupt. It probably still is, but man, that documentary was crazy. Really good.
Is it a recent one? I got to watch it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's why Italy's not in there. Now it makes sense. Thank you, Dave. I'm going to watch it.
No.
Hey, easy there.
It has nothing to do with what
there,
teams
Freddie.
get in.
Freddie,
it has to do with who gets the bids for who gets the World Cup, and it seems like there's a lot of payoffs involved to a lot of different people. And,
sounds like a regular day in Montreal.
It's like voting blocks of countries, and certain people, like the guy who led CONCACAF, has like a certain amount of votes, so they wield a lot of power. So that guy and his cronies get payoffs and stuff. And,
Yeah, but I'll just say
because it's all different federations, right? Like there's UEFA, there's CONCACAF, there's the African, there's Asian. So all the different guys, they all control a bunch of countries that all each get a vote for where the World Cup is going to be or who the president of FIFA is going to be. And there's a lot of, it seems like, backroom deals when it comes to that. And it was a pretty good documentary series that I watched on Netflix. All that to say is that soccer is super corrupt, and the UFC is not, although maybe is. I do have a story for you about some UFC corruption if we have time tonight, which is kind of crazy.
Listen, Dave,
but let's do the parlays. Let's do the parlays.
Wait. All to say is this. I'm still going to be watching the World Cup regardless, man. And go Portugal, go. I want to see Ronaldo win that World Cup, man.
Whatever. I'm giving you my parlay.
Come on.
It's going to start with Zhang Wei Li. Go to bet99.com, by the way. Use that promo code Ringside to take advantage of a matching deposit bonus up to $600 on your initial deposit. Promo code Ringside over at bet99.com. Support the sponsors of the Ringside Report Network. I'm going with Zhang Wei Li. I think she definitely beats Carla Esparza. I'm going with Chris Gutierrez. I think he for sure beats Frankie Edgar. And also, one of the early prelims going with Otman Izatar, who, controversial fighter, had some weird things going on with him, some criminal past, but inside the cage, he is very impressive, and I think he gets the win over Matt Frivola. It's not a very fun parlay. It's not a huge payout, but I believe it will pay out. $20 gets you $63.61 over at bet99.com. It is the Team Dave parlay. 20 gets you 63 with Otman, Gutierrez, and Zhang Wei Li. I think all three of those fights are locks. It's my lock parlay.
Oh.
I'm also going to give you, like I mentioned before, Molly McCann plus 325. I think a single bet on Molly is definitely worth your while. I might even put a couple bucks on Ryan Spann over Dominic Reyes, too, to be honest. And Michael Chandler over Dustin Poirier, I think, is worth a couple of dollars. Why not? Why not? Patrick C. Hamilton dropping the lucky 777s. Thank you for the super chat, Patrick. Patrick says, will be an entertaining card. And one of the stadiums was built with shipping containers. My God, they built a soccer stadium with shipping containers?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Thank you, Patrick. You're the super chat leader of the night. So that's the Team Dave parlay. Very simple. 3 fights. It is Otman, Gutierrez, and Zhang Wei Li. Freddie, you got one for me?
Yeah, I'm going with Pereira. I'm going with Zhang Wei Li. I'm going with Claudio Puelles. I'm going with Chris Gutierrez. And I'm going to put Michael Chandler also on it because it just like bumps my parlay from like 200 something to 600. So I got to put Chandler on it. That's my parlay. 5-5.
Wow. Look at this. Team Fred parlay. Pereira, Zhang Wei Li, Puelles, Gutierrez, and Chandler. 20 at plus 29.90 gets you 643.65 at bet99.com. I mean, that's a parlay
nice
that I
payout,
could see coming through here, Fred. That's a solid parlay. Chandler, Gutierrez, Puelles, Whaley, and Pereira. I mean, in theory, I could see it coming through. I think that Pereira pick is dangerous, but everything else I like. Everything else I like on this parlay, Fred.
Over
I got
Poirier,
Chandler.
I don't know. I find that
Chandler.
more.
Whatever,
sorry,
AJ.
Freddie.
That's what you said when you picked, whoever that was wrong, which is often.
I don't mind if I go 1 for 5. I just want Chandler to win, so AJ feels dumb.
Nah, it's not gonna happen, Freddie. I'm telling you, man. You're dissing like Dustin Poirier, man, a guy who was like the top dog and still is, in my sense.
Well, we'll find out Saturday night when we do the watch along. It's gonna be fun. AJ's gonna be here in studio with me. AJ, give me your parlay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with like Israel. I was like going back and forth on this all night, man. It's the hardest fight, second hardest. Israel for the win. I'm gonna go with Whaley. I agree with you guys on that one. I disagree, Freddie, with you on the Chandler fight. I'm going with Hot Sauce. I think Hot Sauce is going to win it.
Hot Sauce in my bag.
Yeah, Hot Sauce. Hopefully they'll send us a couple of samples. It'd be cool, man. Then I'm going to go with Frankie Edgar, man. I'm telling you, I see Frankie Edgar going in there like, he wants that W, and he's gonna do or die in the octagon on Saturday. And then I'm going with Hooker. I think Hooker is going to beat Claudio. Regardless of his jiu-jitsu pedigree, I think this fight is going to be standing up, and Dan Hooker is going to be able to take him out. That is my parlay, man.
There it is, AJ's 5-fight parlay. He's going with Israel Adesanya, Zhang Weili, Dustin Poirier, Frankie Edgar, and Dan Hooker. 20 gets you 253.72. Big payout there. Big payout there for AJ. Yep. Not as big as Freddie's payout.
Not as big as Freddie's.
My payout was measly compared to you guys.
Yeah, but the probability is there for you, Dave. You only got 3 fights. I mean, Freddie's card is good. I like Freddie's card. It's just, look, Pereira can pull it off. We know that. He's done it before. It's only the Poirier-Chandler fight. Chandler looks amazing, man, but it's just Poirier. I don't think he's going to be able to sustain, the stand-up game with Poirier. If it goes to distance, Poirier is going to win it.
Well, we will see this weekend. I mean, AJ, you and I both picked Marina Rodriguez last weekend, and we were wrong. Amanda Lemos with a big knockout punch.
Man,
finished
that was
Marina
crazy.
In the 3rd round of the main event for the UFC last week. Neil Magny with a really nice Darce choke over Daniel Rodriguez. And a weird fight here where Shailan Nurdenbecki beat Derek Minner in about a minute. Minner threw a couple of kicks, and it appeared as though he hurt his leg. His knee was injured, and Nurdenbecki threw a bunch of punches and finished the fight. Now, that's not what's necessarily weird about it. What's weird is Nurdenbecki opened the day as a minus 220 favorite, but closed just before the fight as a minus 420 favorite. So somebody knew something.
Interesting.
Okay?
Interesting.
So the UFC now has rules where fighters and their corners are not allowed to bet on the fights. Because this was happening. You were allowed to bet on yourself or maybe against yourself. I don't know. You were allowed to bet on the fights, but now you're not as a UFC fighter and as the corner. But obviously something got out because Derek Minner went into that fight injured, and the odds moved in a very, big way. And
it was a strange
people
fight.
are investigating what's going on because something happened. Nurdenbecki opened the day at minus 220, closed before the fight minus 420. Somebody knew Minner was hurt. Minner came into that fight with a knee injury and lost in a minute.
Yeah, and it obviously showed. Something weird happened there.
That's fishy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't they say that Minners has a cornerman that has a gambling UFC show?
Yes. His cornerman, James Krause, apparently has a podcast where he gives UFC picks and stuff. And
maybe he has a special chat line for special picks. That's what people have been speculating.
I mean, that's what people were saying. People were saying he's got some sort of Discord server that you could pay for.
But first of all, like, you want gambling picks, get them from us.
Yeah.
But I read that he's pretty good, man. Maybe we should follow him.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're training the fighters and you know that they're hurt, and you say, "Hey, bet against my fighter," yeah, I mean, okay, you're probably gonna be pretty good there.
Well, that's what used to happen in boxing.
He's been successful at gambling, from what I read.
Yeah,
like, he's got a pretty good percentage from what I read.
Yeah,
hey, listen,
but he's also in the game. And he's talking to people, and he's coaching a lot of the fighters that he's probably giving
even
picks on.
Rogan said at some point he was gambling on the fights, and he stopped.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the UFC asked him or whatever, but I mean, all these guys that are around, they get information for sure, man. They hear about things, injuries.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. If you know that the guy's going in there with one leg, chances are, his probability of winning is very slim.
But isn't the bigger problem that the guy probably needs to fight on one leg because he doesn't have enough money or whatever? Like, UFC's at a big point right now where fucking guys shouldn't be like forced to fight to make ends meet. Like, if they're injured, they should feel comfortable to get out of the fight and take another fight. But a lot of these guys, they need all these paychecks. So anyways,
if you you're going in and your knee is fucked, okay, you're a UFC fighter, you're making, say, $12,000 to win, $12,000 to show, $12,000 to win. Okay, your knee is fucked, but you have to fight because you need the money. Like, you need that $12,000 at least, right? But your knee is like.
Well, a good example.
And you're gonna lose, right?
Listen, a good example is Thiago Santos.
Is it wrong in a desperate situation to bet against yourself to make up for the money that you would?
That's wrong.
That is wrong.
That's illegal.
Oh, it's for sure.
Isn't that what Pete Rose did, man?
No, I don't think so. But you kind of feel for some of these fighters that are making so little that, like, some of these guys, like the guy,
I just
he
feel
had
bad
to
for the
fight.
guy. I just feel bad for a guy that can't withdraw from a fight because he absolutely needs that $12,000.
Well, that
shows you, like, some of these guys are really, like, in need of something more, man. And if the UFC is the big leagues of fighting, man, this shouldn't be happening.
No, you're right. You're 100% right about that. And Dino Steaks makes a good point saying that, he threw a big leg kick right into it, but his knee was already busted up. I think he threw that leg kick to kind of make it seem like maybe that's where he got hurt,
Maybe. Because his knee did bend a weird way when he kicked it. You can see the knee actually, like, rotating. But you know what? I was going to get back to what I was saying is, like, when you look at Santos fighting John Jones, I mean, the guy had 2 knees that got blown out in that fight. There's no way, leading up to that fight, they didn't know that he had his knees were already, like, gone. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to fight the big fight, the big show. You're going to step in there. You need to pay a whole training camp, which costs thousands and thousands of dollars, man. There's so much money invested to get to the big show.
Look at TJ Dillashaw recently. Some people must have known that he was injured, man.
Sure. And he I think is at a point in his career where he doesn't need to fight for the money. It's not like he's going to.
I mean, he was off for a while for that suspension.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, well, how about Conor McGregor? Conor McGregor in his last fight there with Dustin Poirier, he said that he had, there was an injury there going into the fight, but he decided to go in and fight anyways. And Conor McGregor's not hurting for money, although he's probably seeing the big paycheck there at the end of the fight and is like, ooh, let me get to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You promised me like $50 million. I'll go there on one leg.
Who cares if I win or lose? This paycheck's going to be sweet. I'm going to buy a yacht. Yeah.
But all to say is if Krause knows something and he's able to gamble and he's able to change. No, it's not good. I mean, there's got to be some regulation, but obviously, man, like, there's not. So, look, it's a pretty shitty way to go against your fighter.
We have no information really on what happened. But you know what? If there's actually something shady, I would expect the UFC to go as far as blackballing somebody, as like saying, all right, man, you're not fighting for us anymore. Because this is the integrity of the sport, man. So, like, I don't know. If I'm the UFC and I have, like, real suspicion to a point where I could almost prove it, I'd be like, yo, I just don't want you here no more.
Very tough to do it to a coach, though, who's got like a big MMA team, because you're penalizing the fighters on the team. Like, if it is the coach, you know, it's tough because you say, well, you can't corner anymore, you can't come to UFC events, but he's got a whole team. Yeah, but I don't know. It's a tough situation, but sure.
Freddie's got a point there, Dave.
I don't know that
the integrity of the sport.
No, you're right. No, you're right. And you got to get people out of there that are messing with that integrity. But I just think we can't jump to conclusions and say for sure it was Minner's coach. It could have been anybody that got that information out there, and it just kind of slipped out because Minner seemed like he was going into that fight hurt, and the line moving so drastically really made it seem like somebody knew something, you know, and it's not clear who, but the news got out, obviously, and there you have it. Fishiness, which is not good. We don't want that in the sport. We got to make sure, because, throwing fights and weird stuff like that, you can't have that. So you got to stay away.
Listen, that shit used to happen in boxing, man. Like, back in the early days where a guy would take like a fall and the punch didn't even come close to hitting him. I mean, you can't have that kind of stuff. You can't make like turning it into a Saturday Night Live skit. Freddie's absolutely right, man. If the guy is behind like some shenanigans, then you know what? I don't give a shit if you're a coach for like a dozen of the guys in the UFC. You're gone. You know what I'm saying? Look what they did to Pete Rose as well. I mean, you're gone. You got to get rid of that. I feel for Pete Rose because a lot of other guys did a lot crazier shit than he did. But Freddie's right. Like, if you can sway the odds, and there's some suspicion, and they can pinpoint it to that guy in some way, I don't care who you are, man. Even if you're George St. Pierre, you got to be gone, man.
Okay. Cain Velasquez free on bail.
It's about time, man. Bravo.
Good for him,
Free
but
Cain,
don't rejoice too quick, man. Cain is still not out of trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that he gets to see his family and all that. But this story is far from over, and unfortunately, I think it's not gonna have a good ending for Cain. Like,
what do you mean?
Probably gonna go back to jail. Well, I mean, once this gets settled in court, I expect Cain to get some type of jail time over this. It's unfortunate.
Listen.
But
it's unfortunate big time, man, but there's got to be look, it's a strange case.
It's awful. It's an awful story.
Listen, it is. And I'm pretty sure any one of us here would have probably done the same thing. Maybe not to the point of shooting the guy, but listen, you're an MMA fighter. It would have been better to go in there and bust the guy's bones. You would have got a couple of years, and that's it. But when you're carrying a gun and you're shooting, I mean, an innocent person could have got killed outside of that vehicle. That's the problem. I just think Cain could have done it differently and just smashed that guy up to pieces, which he deserved.
Well,
and you know what? Everybody would have backed
did
up
get
Cain.
hurt inside the vehicle, right? The guy, Cain Velasquez, didn't shoot the child molester, the alleged child molester. I'm not really sure what that guy's legal situation is, but he shot the guy's like stepfather. Like, he shot the wrong guy.
Yeah, and the mother also was in the vehicle, so he put a lot of people's life in danger, including everybody around it. And I think I read like the thing lasted for like 12 miles. Like he chased him for a while. Like, this is not something that lasted like 5 minutes. And this was a pretty crazy situation. And look, it's unfortunate. I hope he beats it, man. I hope he gets no jail time. Yeah. But if I have to make a prediction, he'll get some, unfortunately.
Yeah, like on the one hand, I hope he gets no jail time, and I feel for him tremendously. And I don't want Cain Velasquez to get in trouble, but on the other hand, I'm like, oh, Cain, that was a mistake. You probably shouldn't have done that. But
no,
I think
I think
given the circumstances, it should be a slap on the wrist because A, the circumstances, and B, that's fucking Cain Velasquez. Okay, show some goddamn respect. Man. It's fucking Cain Velasquez. Man. That's an honorable man right there. Man. It's a man of honor and dignity.
He is, man. Look, man. Look, his 4-year-old
Brock
kid
Lesnar beat him in WWE in like 90 seconds, real easy.
Yeah, I remember that. But he had bad knees. Remember that, eh?
Cain needs to come back for revenge. Back from jail. All right.
Man, it pisses me off, man. Like, anyways, like, free Cain, and hopefully he gets a soft sentence if it goes to that extent.
Yeah, you got to feel for him and his whole family. Really.
Yep.
Sad
Especially
situation.
his 4-year-old kid, man. Like, think about it. Like, there's so much drama
involved.
that happened.
Terrible.
Sure.
We will be back here Saturday night for the UFC 281 watch along. Come see if AJ's right or wrong on all his fight picks, and also see if Freddie and I are correct on things.
Wait, let's not forget tomorrow night too that Freddie brought up. Brianna St. Marie, man, fighting our Canadian.
That's right, Canadian Jiu-Jitsu superstar from here in Montreal. Brianna St. Marie taking on Maisa Bastos in the main event for Tezos WNO Grappling, which is a grappling show in Texas. Brianna St. Marie will be grappling in the main event of that show, and it'll be available to watch on Flow Grappling. If you have that on their website, their app, Flow Grappling, Brianna St. Marie against Bastos
it's gonna be
tomorrow
crazy.
night in Texas. So good luck to Brianna, everybody at BTT and BTT Canada, and of course 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu rooting for Brianna St. Marie. Right.
There's also the big black guy. He competed. Whoops, sorry. He competed in ADCC because I just started his interview by accident. Asam Rita, like he's pretty good. Also a heavyweight.
Huge, man.
Keep an eye on it.
Yeah. That guy is dangerous, man. He was impressive.
Asam Rita. He's a black guy with blonde hair, bleach blonde hair. He's a beast. Very good.
Yeah, and he was a fan favorite at the competition, man. He came close to taking it all, but, it'll be interesting to see him fight. Like I said, I want to see Brianna fight because I know her, like, personally, was able to grapple with her, and I got to give a lot of kudos to Mark, her dad, who brought her into the sport of jiu-jitsu, along with Cascal, Fred, and Fabio, and that whole team from Brazilian top team to produce, like, some high-level jiu-jitsu fighters. Like, the top female fighter in America right now is Brianna St. Marie going up against, like, they're the top two, man. Bastos against St. Marie. It's going to be insane. And all to say is she's so young that who would have known 5 years ago that Brianna St. Marie, who was just looking at jiu-jitsu as just, like, for self-defense and more recreational than anything, to the point right now she's, like, one of the top fighters in the world. And she's up with these guys, man. Like, it's incredible, Gordon Ryan, Andre Galvao, she's like in that company, man. It's incredible. And I'm so happy for jiu-jitsu here in Montreal when you got names like that. And she's great, man. She'll be training, at 10th Planet, Mizu Gym, I think she trains as well. She does a lot of stuff. But in the end, she's a Brazilian top team girl. That's what counts.
Yep. So big respect to her, and I hope she does well tomorrow night. And Angelo, I checked my Twitter. I have seen that Julie Hart footage before. Bret Hart's wife yelling at Triple H after the Montreal Screwjob. Screwjob was 25 years ago yesterday, guys. 25
wow, that's crazy, man. Weren't you there, Dave?
I was there.
You were a young Dave Simon, man.
I'm changing subject, Dave.
Who's Teddy Hart is a nephew of Bret's. What did he do now?
Somebody?
What?
What? We can't say yes because
I don't think so.
Guilty or
no,
but somebody disappeared.
Somebody that he was familiar with disappeared, and people were wondering if he had something to do with said disappearance. And Teddy Hart, Teddy Hart is an interesting character.
I saw his name pass today, and
He's
I didn't
an
know who he
interesting
was.
character. He was signed in the WWE when he was like 18 or something, like really young. He was a prodigy. He was incredible.
But he's the son of who? I know he's a grandchild, but who's?
He is the son of.
I checked on Wikipedia. I didn't see it.
Teddy. His mother is a Hart.
Okay.
His mother is Georgia Hart. And his father is B.J. Annis. His real name is Ted Annis. But, Teddy Hart sounds better for wrestling. But, yeah, his mom is Georgia Hart, one of the Hart sisters. And he's a bit of a wacky character. And when I say a bit, I mean a lot of a wacky character. And,
he's a broken heart.
Possibly criminal. I mean, definitely criminal many times in his life. there's a Twitter feed, and I think it's just, is Teddy Hart in jail? And it just updates no. Like every day it just updates no. And then all of a sudden, yes. And then there's like updates, like what he's doing in jail, what happened, But there's just a feed that follows, is Teddy Hart in jail? So that kind of tells you.
On the show, Dave.
Yeah, he'd be a character to have. Sure.
Him and Johnny North talking away. It'd be interesting.
Oh, I'm sure Johnny is enjoying this Teddy Hart conversation. when two guys just discover who Teddy Hart is, I think it's fantastic. You could really go into a deep dark hole of the Teddy Hart life and his history and everything and the stories.
It makes a good Netflix documentary then.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about Dark Side of the Ring? Teddy Hart is Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, big
is he
time.
on there?
He should be. He hasn't been. I think they canceled the series anyways, but he.
Oh, it was good.
Oh, that's why. Okay, because he's gonna be on True Crime documentary.
Yes.
That's why I read about him today.
Yeah.
There you go, man. It's the beginning. Get him on the show, Dave.
I don't think I want him on the show.
It'd be interesting, man. It'd be crazy, man.
If you look at his Wikipedia page, there's a lot of legal problems that he's been in over the years. The guy is, yeah.
Just do it. Think of the ratings, man. Do it, Dave. I'm gonna get in touch with this. What's his name again? Ted Hardy.
He might be in jail.
It's okay. I'm gonna get our PR Mark to give him a shout.
Say
PR
Hardy?
Mark will do it. Did you say Hardy?
How you hire a guy like he's not hireable no more? Like who could hire him?
Teddy Hart?
Yeah.
To wrestle? I mean, independent promotions might, but I don't think he's really wrestled too much lately. I don't know what he's up to. He had a gimmick with a cat. He had a cat that he brought to the ring.
Yeah.
He tried to do like cat wrestling tricks. Is very strange. He is a super weird guy. Super weird guy.
Perfect for the show, man.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay. I'll be back with Johnny North tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. 10 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night for Wrestling Uncensored. We'll talk about wrestling. We might even get that out of there. Boo. Boo, AJ, you.
I was waiting for
the fuck?
The whole show it took you to figure out that I was holding this.
Ugh, gross. Why are you doing that? AJ, I'm going to ban you. You know what?
Listen, man, I was waiting for you the whole.
Shut the fuck up, AJ. AJ just got banned for the rest of the show. I'll be back here with Johnny North tomorrow, a man who understands how to do a proper show and who's a gentleman, just like Fred. Not AJ. AJ's a piece of garbage jabroni. No good. I'll be back with John tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk about some pro wrestling. And then I'll be back with Freddie and possibly AJ at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday night for the UFC 281 watch-along, which will be fun. Possibly. We might let AJ in. I don't know. All right. Thanks, Fred. And not AJ. No thanks to AJ. We'll see you again tomorrow night here on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.